kind of randomly draw who gets to talk first, and then ask them get to know you questions if you would like to throw one of those, and let us know just a little bit about yourself. So first up will be Brian French.
Oh, sure. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for the invite. My name is Brian French, and I'm a relative newcomer, relative unknown here to Hot Springs. I was born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, raised in central Pennsylvania, central New York, and graduated from Hamilton College with a bachelor's degree in economics in 1992. And then I was assigned, I joined a company and was assigned to Pine Bluff, Arkansas as a Camden Wire Association plant. And I was only supposed to be down there temporarily. It was a small assignment. But about a month after I moved there, I had a blind date, met my wife-to-be, dated her for 3 years, married her, and never moved again above the Mason-Dixon line. So, temporary assignment became permanent, and then kind of moved around in my manufacturing, operations, management career from El Paso, Texas to North Carolina, back to El Paso, Texas. But manufacturing and operations owned my life, and I had no work-life balance. And my wife, of course, having been born and raised in Pine Bluff, made the suggestion, it's time to go back to Arkansas. So we did. No job, just moved back to Arkansas. Her parents had moved from Pine Bluff to Hot Springs. We'd been here several times. We really loved it. So we decided this is where we're going to make our mark. I switched industries completely, became a mortgage banker. I've been doing that for 9 years now. But I think what really kind of changed my life was a year after I had moved here. Coach McBride had started the Lakeside Football Association. And I saw that as my opportunity to try and gain some work-life balance. And here I am 9 years later, still with the Lakeside Football Association. I coached for a couple of years. When I was done coaching, I just called games for them, announced games for them, just loved it. And then they asked me to be on their board. And I did that for several years, and then was just recently asked to be their president. So I would say that was one of the turning points in my life, because I actually got addicted to volunteering. I mean, it really was something that affected my life. And after 3 or 4 years of being part of Lakeside football, I decided that maybe it was time to broaden my horizons. Increase the scale and scope of what I was doing. And I thought about running for school board. And I have for several years. And I can't tell you what convinced me to do it this year, but I just did. I threw my name in the hat. And as I finished signing all the papers and handing them in to the county clerk, I didn't even really know what I was running for. All I knew was I just wanted to be part of it. But I kind of sat back and thought about it for a little bit. And I guess I can condense it down to 3 items. One, I want to make sure that I can do everything I can to make sure that Lakeside has a welcoming and positive environment for all students. You see the bullying issues on Facebook constantly brought up. Excuse me, I'm coming down with something. And it's something I want to make sure that we not only react to, but that we're proactive with. Because can you imagine being the student who doesn't want to go to school because they know what's coming? They know somebody's coming after them. And that's just a horrible, horrible feeling. I just think we need to be very proactive about that. Second of all, I think we need to make sure that the teachers, and this is not pandering, but we need to make sure that the teachers have all the tools, resources, and time they need to focus on making sure our kids are well prepared to get jobs when they graduate or go on to the next level. And 3, I think we need to make sure that we don't have a cookie cutter type approach to schooling. I think as we're all seeing trillions of dollars of debt we have, student loan debt, most of which will not be paid, we need to make sure that we allow the kids to define what success means to them and tailor the programs to meet their demands, not the other way around. What small gesture from a stranger made a big impact on you? I'd have to say, and it was a very sad event, a 4th grader who had played for his first year with Lakeside Youth Football passed away this fall in a house fire. And his grandmother, I didn't even know it, and his grandmother sent me a message explaining what happened, and she said, that 1 year of Lakeside Youth Football changed his life. He was so much more outgoing. He felt like he was part of something. And that really broke my heart, but I think that was a gesture that I won't ever forget. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks, Lindsay, Jen, all the board, treasurers, vice presidents. Appreciate you having us in this time. And I'm just excited about the fact that there's 4 people sitting over here that are encouraged to get involved with our school and with our kids and grandkids and friends and all those things. And man, Brian, I just want you to know I've heard a lot of good things about you in the community, and I just appreciate that you have a great reputation. I know you're maybe an outsider, I can relate to that, to Hot Springs. And John, thank you for being a resource officer here and also just working, serving in the Army Reserves and being on the police force. I really appreciate that. And Ms. Mouton, it's good to meet you today, and I just appreciate that you've been for decades pouring into these students as a teacher and on the school board. And so I just appreciate that there is a lot of interest. I've got a vested interest. We have 6 kids, but I feel like I've got probably 100 or 2 at Lakeside that I consider my kids, from the pre-K all the way up to the high school. And so I'm encouraged. I think there's a reason there's not a lot of private schools in Hot Springs. It's because the public schools are so good. That was odd to me when I moved here. But I started to learn that there's such just a great core of schools in Hot Springs, and I love that we get to be a part of it. I appreciate all the teachers and admin who've helped make that happen, the coaches, and we've got kids doing the Lakeside sports thing, and that's a blast. And so my concern is I want to, number one, just make sure that I can be in the know as a father. So first of all, I guess how much you know about me. I'm a father, a husband, a pastor, a New Life Church here in town, and that's why I have a lot of kids at this school, because I consider your kids mine, and yours, and well, good. They need more parents for sure. But so I already know, and I feel like I have a vested interest in every school and every organization, whether it's band or choir or ball teams or whatever, in school or out of school. And so I just have a concern for how that's going and what's going on at school, outside of school. Also, curriculum is something I think a lot about. I think a lot about what our kids are learning and being taught. And as a dad, I believe that it's our job as a family to bring our children up in the way they should go. And I appreciate the schools coming alongside and helping facilitate that. But I think sometimes what I'm learning around the country is that parents are finding out after the fact what their kids are learning. And so I just, as a dad, want to help get in front of that and be a voice and be somebody to stand in the gap if there needs to be. And I just want to keep things really just as positive as we can here at Lakeside and every school, every age. Another thing I'm excited about and hope to leverage some of my influence is to engage parents more. I love that we have parents and obviously the PTO, but I feel like this room should be full of parents. It's not, and especially dads. Like I love being a part of All Pro Dads with Alan from day one and supporting that, and there's some organizations that I've been a part of in Faulkner County that really engage dads, engage parents, and I think to have a strong school, you need parental involvement, strict discipline, and strong leadership, and so I think that one of the things I hope to bring, whether it's through the school board or not, is just more parents, more dads, all pro dads, whatever, but being involved in our kids. There's a lot of fatherless kids out there who need dads. They just need parents to come alongside the teachers. And so that's something I'm excited about. And then hopefully just be able to represent our community values in the school and vice versa. And so I get the chance to talk to a lot of people every week. And I feel like I have a good sense of the pulse of what's going on in our schools in different areas, all different levels. And so I'm excited to different levels, and so I'm excited to hopefully just be a light in there, and just am encouraged by what's going on. So let me answer this question. You guys are treating this question. The best compliment you've ever received: your wife is great. I don't have to think about that one. She's my best compliment. I feel like I outkicked my coverage on that and married way out of my league. And so she's amazing, and just the fact that I get to be married to her, and the second best compliment would be your kids, and we just love our kids, whether it's my kids or my church kids. I love our kids, and I think really that's what got me into this, is that I see our kids, and I don't really have anything I'm trying to fight against. It's more just what I'm fighting for, in the sense of I love these kids, whatever we can do to help serve, encourage, and equip them for the next step, whatever stage of life they're in, protect them. That's a big thing. I just see a lot of things in our culture that are coming through the schools, and I think they kind of worm in there. And if I can be a voice to help any of that, keep it out of Hot Springs, in this school, then I'd love to do that. So that's all I got. Thanks so much.
Next up, we have Carla Mouton. That microphone is heavier than I anticipated.
Okay, I'll handle this like the gentleman before me. I'll just answer it last. My name is Carla Mouton. I have been in Hot Springs since 1986. My husband and I have 3 children. We have 5 grandchildren. 3 of our children graduated here. 2 of our grandchildren graduated here. And we have a grandson in middle school. So that's a real part of our lives. Secondly, I taught here for 22 years. In fact, there, all my students. The other night, we were at the Chamber of Commerce banquet. And it was so exciting for me to see all of the Lakeside students represented there, who were honored, who were taking part in it. And I thought, we really do some good things at this school. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have a whole speech, just in case you know. I didn't know what to expect. And as a teacher, we know we have to have lesson plans. We have to be prepared. So I came prepared. But I'll leave it over there for now. I started teaching here in '87. I taught in the social studies department. I taught 10th grade, college prep world history. Yes, that's what it was called. I taught AP European history. I taught AP US history. I taught geography, I taught economics, but I was primarily into world history, and I think that's where all of you come in. Lakeside has been an enormous part of my life. When I retired because, well, there were things I just didn't want to do anymore. I didn't want to learn about the computer programming. I didn't want to do these wonderful things that needed to be done, but it was time for somebody else to do it. The most important thing, we were about to have another grandchild, and I did not want to divide any more time between my family and school. Because I loved school so much that being away was very, very difficult. When I retired, several people said, run for school board. Maybe so. I've been going to school board meetings for years. I was chair of what we call the Personnel Policy Committee, which many of you may be familiar with. And I thought it was imperative that I go to those meetings so I could be informed and turn around and relay that to the teachers. So I knew about school board meetings. I was even here till 1 o'clock one morning for a school board meeting. And I was teaching at the time. Anyway, when I retired, I just said, maybe just down the road. I've got a few books to read and grandbabies to take care of and cookies to bake. So I'll just let that one go. And I got a phone call. Would I take the place of somebody who was leaving the district on the school board and could no longer be on board? That was awkwardly put, but you got it. Anyway, so I said I can do that. It was about April, and the election was going to be in September. I can do that. Well, I went to a meeting, and I knew these men. They were brilliant men. They were exceptional in their caring for these schools and these kids. And I remember sitting back there, and they were talking about something, and all I could feel but there was a disconnect. They had no idea what went on in a classroom. They had no idea what went on in the principal's office. They had no idea what went on in the halls. So we were talking, and I, being the person that I am, said, gentlemen, you need me. And I ran, and I won, and I've been on the board for 10 years. I know what it takes, and I also know that our job is never finished. We work terribly, terribly hard. Mr. Brazil back there can attest to that because he's on the board with us. We can't rest on our laurels, but Lakeside is always one of the top schools in this state. And I know it's because of all of the hard work. It is our job as a school board to make policy. It is our job to provide vision. It is our job to provide the tools that everyone needs to do their jobs. It is not our job to teach the kids. It's not our job to run the schools. We do things like, oh, Mr. Slayton, let me tell you about this broadcasting booth out there. You want it? Well, guess what? Mr. Slayton got a broadcasting booth, and look what's happening. We needed a sports medicine program. I don't know if you remember, in 2016, I think it was, a school bus was on her way to a game in DeQueen and had an accident. The first responders were our sports medicine kids. EMT did not get there for about 25 minutes. Those kids did remarkable things because Mrs. Brennan taught them how to do it. They didn't have to be, well, you go do this and you go do that. They knew exactly what they had to do. My point is that we have built up huge momentum in the last 10 years. I bring the most important perspective I think I can. I am a former teacher. I am a school board member. I am a mother and I am a grandmother. And that perspective is desperately needed on the school board. So thank you for being able to do that all these years. Now I'm going to try and answer the question. What is one of your personal rules in life that you never break? Wow. Almost never break. I consider myself a woman of integrity. I do follow through with what I'm going to say, I do. If I tell you that I'm going to do this job for you, Ms. Harris, have I ever not done it? Just, okay, put you on the spot. I think that it's my integrity. It's not because of what anybody else, it's mine. And it's just important that I follow through with what I say I'm going to follow through with. And do you mind if I kind of choose somebody else's question? Somebody, I forget which one of you, compliment? I think you got the question. Oh, you got the question about the compliment? No, it's okay. I'm going to tell you the favorite compliment I ever got. It's from the parents and the teachers who come to me years later and say thank you. Thank you for all you've done for our kids. And sometimes a kid comes up to me and I don't remember him. And then I have to kind of, oh, baby, if you shaved off that beard, I'd really get it, you know. And it happened just the other night. Joe and I were out, and I just went, oh my goodness. I remembered him when he was sitting in his desk. I remembered so much about him, but I hadn't remembered over the years. And he said, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being there, and thank you for caring. And I think that's what we all have to remember. And I'm seeing that in these gentlemen here. Y'all have all done great jobs. Jonathan, I've always been so proud of you. So thank you. And thank you. I might go
Last and certainly not least, we have Mr. Jonathan Burfeind.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Burfeind. Thank you for having me here. I'm not from here originally. I'm originally from Freehold, New Jersey. I don't think any of us are from here. My parents moved down here when I was 6 years old. I started first grade here. And I don't even think kindergarten was an option at the time. I was just now starting. Went to school here for 12 years and graduated in 1990. I graduated singing his wife. When I was here in high school, I met Wendy, right over here. And she didn't like me back then, but unfortunately we went to Arkadelphia and there's not a lot to do there, so we started dating when we were in college. Together we have 2 children and 1 grandchild. That's our life. That is our life. We are very active in the community. We're very active in doing a lot of things with this school district as well as others. I went into the Army at a young age and was active duty for a year. I was in the reserves. Came back, went to private practice as far as doing the optician work, and then that was kind of boring, so I went into law enforcement. And that's where I've been for the last 24 years. During my time in law enforcement, I have worked every capacity I can think of other than K-9 because I love dogs and I'm not very good with them. So I've worked in undercover narcotics, I've worked in homicide, I've worked in special victims units. I've also managed those units in the past. I worked in special victims units. I've also managed those units in the past. The most rewarding though was being here at Lakeside for 5 years as a school resource officer. During that time, I implemented a lot of different programs as far as peer mediation, crisis plans for the school district, things of that nature. Shortly after leaving the schools, I went back and started a little more active in the community as far as doing different in town as far as the human trafficking task force for Garland County. And the Arkansas State Schools Association, I was one of the original members who started that. We have plans as far as what we like to get actively involved in also is the dyslexia support group. And it's something that is near and dear to us as we have a child that had dyslexia. And it was a nightmare. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's something very difficult to deal with. And fortunately, our son was able to overcome his disability and prosper. In his honor, we created the Burfeind Family Scholarship, where we do it for dyslexia students that are graduating, and is what we've done for the first year of college. I'm not a very big community speaker. I don't really like to waste a lot of time. I mean, everything has been said that I could possibly say. I've got 3 great people right here that I respect and admire. We're all very, we're all going to be happy to do whatever we can to make the school district better. And what is the hardest lesson you learned? I learned that you treat people right. Always treat people right. Always put others above. You never know what someone has on their plate. You never know what somebody brings to the table. And as long as you treat people with respect and dignity, and that's the way to go. Because the problem is, you never know what they're carrying on their plate, right?